Well, hello, and welcome once again to the Far From Normal radio show. I am Jay Moss, your host, and as always, my brother, Mr. Bud Veno. How are you doing, Bud?
Yo, and yo, my brother from another mother, Jay Money Moss. Beautiful July 17th, 2018. Jay, I've quoted White Snake before, and I'll do it again. I'll say here we go again. I can't personalize Jay and see here I go. Here we go. Two great guests lined up, Jay. I know we've all been very excited. Been trying to get our first guest on for a while. He's very engaging, intelligent, got quite the story. He's been through it all and come out smiling. Great guy. First guest lined up, Mr. Carlos Rivera, Jay.
Yes, absolutely.
Get off the phone with Mr. Ed Bryans. It's going to be a great show. We're excited, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely going to be a fantastic, phenomenal show. And I know conspicuous by their absence, Neely is taking a little bit of a hiatus, doing kind of what Pete has done for a while here. She's concentrating on her case, which is good. We always encourage that. If there's something that comes up and it's family or it's your case, definitely that comes and takes priority. Pete is also out this weekend. He will be on a little vacation. He may pop in here or there, but he's out there with his child right now. So we want to encourage them to have the greatest of times and blessings and safe travels.
Yeah, Jay, our sister Neely, as you said, taking a little hiatus, focusing on her personal stuff, and we love Neely. We'll say she's still on board with us. We support her, still speak to her a lot behind the scenes.
Yes.
Great kid. We love her. She's done a lot already, and I know that when she gets into something, Jay, she wants to put in 110%. And I know when she comes back, she was just ready. So when she comes back, it's going to be great. And as you said, Pete is just by happenstance, happens to have things going on tonight too. So I said, Jay, we're going to have to go old school. We're going back to pond hockey, Jay.
Yes, we are.
And we were looking forward to it, Jay. It's going to be a lot of fun again. And we wish Neely the best. We're still here for her. We love her very much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to get right into this here. I'm going to unmute Mr. Carlos Rivera. Carlos, how are you doing this evening?
Good. I'm very excited to be on the show, so thank you for the opportunity and the privilege.
Well, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate your time. We know you're super busy out there, so I'm sure that Bud would like to say the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Rivera, you're one of the first ones I saw on that short list when I came into our quote-unquote movement. You've always conducted yourself with a lot of respect, a lot of honor, always been a very honest and compassionate voice in this movement. I'm proud to know you, and thank you for taking the time and coming on. We're very honored, Jay and I both.
Thank you, Bud. Honor's mine.
Awesome. So I wanted to ask you first off, obviously you've done and conducted, hundreds and hundreds of interviews yourself, WLINY and all of those that were out there that you helped and supported and were a part of out there. And so what are some of the things for you to start off with that you're seeing on? What are some of the things that you've been able to see and accomplish and to get the word out to the community about?
It's interesting, Jay, because this, it started because I stumbled into family court and I kind of became ensnared like everyone else. And I kind of stumbled into social media, and then things kind of went from there. I had to close my practice, and in an effort to let my patients know that I would no longer be practicing, I posted on Facebook, and that post generated a lot of attention, and that opened the door to WLINY, and then started becoming a little bit more vocal and more active. But the most important thing for me was that when things were really starting to slide downhill real fast, it was such a relief to have someone that I could tell my story, and I just felt like someone was listening, someone was helping. In my case, it was cable access TV with Gary Jacobs in Long Island Backstory and Chris DiMaggio on his show. But my show is predominantly about letting people tell their story and letting victims have a voice and feeling better.
Exactly. And there's so many people out there that are affected by this. the atrocities of the family court, that I would call it, or CPS, DCF issues that we see so many times in this movement. What are some of the worst case scenarios, obviously, that you've seen? I mean, obviously your case, I've done a lot of research on your case, and wow, $15,000 in child support a month. I can't even believe that. But, you know, I mean, obviously you've got, you know, a pediatrician like yourself who works with children every single day. And if the family court system is going to bypass its ethics and its standards and its due process in order to award child custody and not actually give equal share parenting in this case, obviously we've got some issues and problems. If you've got a pediatrician that's working with children every single day, I don't understand that. But what are some of the worst cases that you've been able to kind of interview and bring light to?
There's so many tragic cases, and I think that when my experience took place, and there was quite a bit of shock, in that I thought that the system stood for justice and listening to people and going by the facts, and then I find out what a circus it really is, and that it's really just a business. That was a big shock to me. But, you know, I consider myself fortunate in that I have 4 children. My two oldest choose not to speak with me anymore. I'm alienated, but my 2 youngest do. And, you know, I've come across countless tragic stories where either children were, you know, abducted by one parent and left to another state or another country, or, you know, people don't have contact with any of their children. And that's opened my eyes to the depression and, you know, the heart-wrenching stories and how much it can affect, you know, parents, grandparents, and loving family members, what this can really do to them. It's devastating. And I find that the court really has no sympathy for it. It's almost like they create the problem, then fault you for having a reaction to it, a natural reaction to missing your children or having your life completely devastated.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I completely agree with that 100%. And you obviously you notice when a lot of people walk into this movement, and we kind of discuss this a lot on our show, when we have people who move into this movement because they're seeking some type of community, so to speak, or some support or some effort and help in their case and consistency. What are some of the things that maybe bug you? Because I think a lot of the times it bugs me when I see somebody who just maybe came into the movement and is speaking out, maybe couldn't necessarily be harming the movement because maybe they don't have a good education behind them of what all it entails. It entails DCF and Title 4D and Title 4E and all of those different things. What are some of the things that maybe you would say, hey, look, if you're new in this movement, kind of steer away from this and go in this direction?
I think the first thing is to try to somehow spread out your enthusiasm. People come in with full steam and they're going to make all kinds of changes, and I admire that. I've been there myself, and I think that you have to warn people, like, it's a long haul, it's a grueling fight. And we have to really stick in it. Sometimes you have to take a tactical retreat, pull yourself together and get back in the fight. And, you know, that was some things that I felt guilty about, and that, you know, I essentially had not an official gag order, but highly suggested by different judges in my case. And I was penalized for speaking out on social media regarding my criticisms of court and parental alienation. And in my recent case, it just ended. The decision started with a 40-minute verbal lashing from my judge regarding my social media, how he disagrees with me on my views of parental alienation. And while his decision was favorable, it was a little bit too late. My life is, you know, completely upside down. I lost my career. I lost everything. So it didn't feel like a victory. Everyone says, how do you feel? You won. I was like, I didn't win anything. Everything was lost. But what really bothered me was that, you know, one, the lashing that I thought was unjust, but it made sense to me with my criticisms of the court. There was going to be repercussions for it. And while he did rule in favor as far as a money judgment, well, not a money judgment, as far as my how much I was now responsible to provide, he still gave an overwhelming money judgment of $400,000. So,
Yeah.
again, it's, what bothers me, it's, they work under the guise of in the best interest of the children. It's really, in the best interest of the courts. And,
Right.
I really have trouble with the notion or the premise that the lifestyle the children would have enjoyed had the parents stayed together. And that to me is a flaw. It's a fundamental flaw in the system. It's like, well, you know what? The parents broke up. So there is going to be no lifestyle as if the parents are still together, because unfortunately they broke up. So you have to make some kind of split where it's both parents have an ability to have a similar ability to take care of the children. And really what they should change the premise to is the lifestyle the children would have enjoyed had family court and attorneys not gotten involved.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I think that what you're saying obviously is that there needs to be a much better equitable distribution of those two parents' funds. And I think Illinois is one of those who was very lucky and fortunate to have income shares module that was set up. Many states don't have that. And we still see, okay, well, a parent's, let's say if you've got one child, you're going to pay 20%. If you got two children, you're going to pay 28. And there's a module out there that's specifically set up for that in most states. Obviously, income shares is something that I slightly support because I believe that it takes both parents' income into account. However, I think that there have been many economists out there as well that state that, hey, look, if your income was such and such, well, your income is still going to be the same regardless. And so that child would still be provided for during your time with that child. So say, for instance, if you're a doctor and your ex is a lawyer, and your incomes are similarly the same, then obviously that child's going to be provided for in both. So why is there a differential that you would have to give a majority of the custody to one side and move money from side to side, which would be what's called a legal wealth redistribution? So I'm really shocked and perplexed of all things. Obviously, in your case, because you've got a pediatrics doctor that has really worked specifically with children day in and day out, knows the psychology and all of that behind it, is a medical doctor. And you're going to deprive this guy of his rights, and by doing so, it puts you so behind that you have to close a practice, and that's just absolutely awful. I can't see where this is good for the child in making it so bad, and I don't see how it's good for the community that you live in, because obviously you closing your practice obviously is going to affect hundreds of people, correct?
It's interesting, Jay. You brought up a very, very big point on the collateral damage of these judgments and incarcerating somebody for debt. First of all, I love when they tell me that there's no such thing as a debtor's prison, that I failed to comply with an order to pay a substantial amount of money. It's just like, if you took everybody who's behind on a car payment or upside down on a mortgage, they have a contract to pay that amount of money. So why is it that, not that I'm suggesting put them in jail, because I don't think that's the answer, but it's a very, very convenient definition for them to utilize in order to keep this Title 4D business going. But another big point you pointed out is that in my case, even though I gave my ex $494,000 in 4 years, she still was granted a $160,000 judgment from the magistrate. Now, when I ended up getting incarcerated, did a full 6 months because I did not have the money to pay. I was financially depleted trying to keep up with $15,000 a month, which I could never do. When you take a look at the collateral damage, the taxpayers now have really, I became a burden to the taxpayers. I was a productive member of the society. I had employees. I was taking care of children. Now you have to pay for $225 a day to keep me incarcerated. You have to take 7 employees now, give them unemployment. Some of them required social services and social insurance, health insurance. My own children ended up going on welfare and getting state subsidized insurance. So by the time that the court system takes my $160,000, I was getting bills in jail as the amount was increasing in jail at 9% interest. So by the time I completed 6 months, I was at $250,000 worth of arrears at 9% interest. But it cost the taxpayers about 5 times. Well, no, the courts, if they had collected 9% interest on me, that's $25,000. What it cost the taxpayers was 5 times that amount to incarcerate me and all the collateral damage. So what I try to tell people is, if you really want to change the system, put ankle bracelets on people. They can't go anywhere. They have to work, and you're not becoming a burden to the taxpayers around you. And I think that the apathy would change if people really realized that, oh my God, this is affecting me directly. It's not just some guy I heard of went to jail. Now I'm paying for this guy to go to prison, and all the other people that he was employing, now I have to pick up the tab.
That's a fantastic point, because I think that you're absolutely right. I think that when the family courts are out there and they make these decisions, they think that they're only affecting one person. You're affecting an entire community is what you're affecting. Because not only are you, let's say if it's incarceration, you're incarcerating that person, but you're increasing the taxpayer dollars of that county by putting you in jail, which means that they have to actually pay someone to be your guard, or so to speak, number one. Number two, it's paying for your meals and what you have as far as in the jail cell. You're paying for that. And then on top of that, not only is it affecting that community, but with Title 4D, it's affecting that entire United States, because what's ending up happening is, how they say out there that Social Security is not going to be around in a few years. Well, it's not going to be around. And here's why it's not going to be around. $5.33 per state on average is being collected and given to the state, which ends up going directly to that administrative judge's bonus fees that he gets every single month. And part of it also pays the welfare system. Mm-hmm. We've got a problem here when a judge is being incentivized for a ruling. When you're talking about the American Bar Association's Rule 211.3 specifically states that they cannot receive an emolument, or they cannot receive a gift, or they cannot receive a bonus for doing their job. Well, they're receiving bonuses for doing their job. It's very easy to see that. And Carlos, when you see that, obviously you've been incarcerated for this situation. How do you deal with that when you're sitting in a jail cell knowing that you're only there and you never committed a crime? You're only there for financial means.
It's interesting, because I went court watching today for a person who's in a similar position, and the threat is with jail. In this person's case, he hasn't seen his child for 3 years, and his ex has a contempt order that no one seems to mind that, she's withholding the child for 3 years. But he is, he's a little bit behind on some child support, and that becomes the main issue. It's like, it's not about the children, it's about money. It couldn't be more obvious. So when you look at, the scenario I was just pointing out to you before, look at that business model. What business could run that, like, okay, in order for me to profit 25 grand, it's going to cost the rest of the business $125,000 for me to collect my 25. It's kind of like if you go into a pool and pop a hole in one part of the liner, the whole pool becomes depleted of water. So what people have to really realize is that what family court's doing is really robbing the system. Just think of all the wasted money for family court to profit. And that's one of the messages I try to get out to people. It's like, don't feel bad for me that I went to jail. It wasn't the worst experience of my life. But the truth is the continued damage to children with the alienation, the CPS issues, I can't even get started on that right now. And then it's about money, and it's costing everybody money for a small segment of society to profit. So the lawyers and the judges are making a fortune, and the rest of us having our lives destroyed.
Right.
What makes it right for somebody to end up sleeping in the car or couch surfing for months because they were destroyed in a divorce? It's like, is that a reason to destroy somebody's life?
Yeah, I don't understand it. Number one. Number two, I can't for the life of me fathom what it's like for someone to go into jail. I haven't actually gone into jail for this yet. It doesn't for this yet. But I would say that the thing for me would be, okay, you walk into a jail cell and you say, oh, yeah, what are you here for? Battery. What are you here for? Oh, I stole some stuff. What are you here for? Child support. What? They got to be looking at you like, wow, what?
When I first went to jail, my first, you asked me what did I first think earlier, and my first thought was like, I can't believe they're locking me up. That was my first thought, and I remember being in the holding cell in the courthouse, just shaking my head, and then it just got even better from that point on. The sheriffs bring me to the jail, and then they try to do a scared straight thing with you, where they intimidate you and yell at you for every little reason. You don't know what the system is, and they're yelling you because you're not familiar with it. But I found the initial phases, to be tough. And one of the things that happened to me was the assumption right away that since I was a physician, I was in there for writing illegal prescriptions. I was like, no, that's not what happened. And they're like, well, why are you here? I was like, child support arrears. So then now you're at a new level of dirtbag. I'm not selling drugs, but I'm a dirtbag because I'm back on child support. Right. What it ended up happening to me was that I ended up taking care of a lot of the corrections officers' families. So word quickly got out that I just caught a really bad deal, and life for me became much more bearable once the corrections officers found out that I was not some piece of garbage.
Right. And I know that there's a lot of people that have experienced the family court system and being incarcerated, and I know for sure one of the people out there that kind of helped us found this, Neil Shelton, was thrown in jail 28 times, I believe. And unfortunately, I think that he was arrested and thrown in jail 3 times in one day. I think that's a record. So all over child support, which is a debtor's prisons, which were outlawed 200 years ago, people. 200 years ago, these were outlawed. But yet now we're bringing them back, and they're unconstitutional because you're not even giving someone the right, who a lot of the times these guys or gals are thrown in jail and they do not have the means to pay, or they don't have the means to pay the exorbitant amount that's out there. Because let's take Carlos, for instance. You may think that doctors make a whole lot of money, and they do. Sure they do, because they do a whole lot of work. Number one. Number two is because they pay a whole lot of insurance, because there's so many malpractice lawsuits out there. So whenever that is the case, insurance is getting a whole lot of that money. The people that work for them are getting a whole lot of money. You're paying off student loans and student debts for however long. You're paying off practice fees to get your practice opened up. It's a lot of fees that you're paying out, and you're just writing check after check after check after check. And you're hoping at some point you become stable. And guess what? You have a child support issue come up, and you can't pay those exorbitant fees, and they throw you in jail. They incarcerate you because you can't pay those exorbitant fees. That's just absolutely insane and ridiculous in this country, when we have a person out there who is doing a service to the community by having a medical license, who's doing great stuff out there for the community, and then you incarcerate this man. What are some of the solutions that we really can come about? Because I know you and I met out there in DC. Was an amazing time at the Capitals for Kids event, and we saw everybody kind of drop their egos at the door, and it was all about doing the right thing. And I know that several different things were discussed out there amongst the many. Oh, unfortunately, I think we lost Carlos. Hopefully he'll dial back in. I was definitely going to ask him about the Capitals for Kids event, because it was amazing, but unfortunately, hopefully we'll get him back on. for a second.
That gives the listeners something to wait for, because I'm quite sure he's going to call back in. And you hit on an interesting question there, Jay.
Yeah.
Carlos, again, you mentioned the event in Washington, and I heard a lot of great things about a lot of great people, and Carlos was definitely one of them. I know Pete mentioned meeting him, and Pete spoke very, very highly of Mr. Rivera behind the scenes. And so, again, he's been doing this for a long time, and his story is I believe he said it, we've said it before too, when you get into this, and he had mentioned, I think you go into it believing the family courts are going to, hear the truth and listen to you, and that's going to work the way it's supposed to, and everything's going to be fine. And if you can latch on, if you are just getting into this, to someone like Carlos and see his story, my other point to that too, and it's not minimizing anyone's pain or stories, but I believe Carlos said too, and we've said before, Jay, our stories are kind of Disney when you look at everything that everyone's been through. Carlos, his story is just, as you said,
right.
Awful.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, it could have been a battery thing, because you know how that is when you're on this live feed, and it kind of really drains your battery if you're on a cell phone. So if he's on that, he'll probably be charging here for a little bit, but hopefully he'll get back on. But at the same point in time, it is very, very interesting as a concept, because we have this child support issue, and people always talk, oh, child support, that's all you seem to talk about is child support. Okay, yeah, but understand the premise here. And I explain it this way. Okay, if you walk into the best steak restaurant, let's say you love steak, right, and you get this menu, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have this great big steak, and I'm super hungry, I'm gonna have a baked potato and everything and the fixings, and it's all ready, and you're waiting for like an hour, it seems like, and you're wanting this steak so absolutely bad, your mouth is watering and you can smell it, and all of a sudden they bring it out and they give it to the table next to you and they hand you the check. Well, guess what? That's child support for you.
Right. Yeah, Jay, it's good analogy, Jay. Jay, I have to say this too, because as you were talking, I didn't notice at first because the way you were sitting.
Do you have a big juicy steak?
Well, no, I said, Allie, can you do me a favor? I said, you have a pretty good eye. Can you put out a shirt for me you think would be good? And this was the first one she brought on. I said, oh boy, maybe I'll wear that one. and I almost did. It was my second choice. So I'll say, and then I looked down and saw yours, Jay. Great taste, my brother. Great taste, my brother. Yeah. No juicy steak tonight. It's been a thunderstormy sort of day here in New Hampshire. And I sent you that message earlier, Jay. I said, if you don't hear from me, don't panic. Because I will be on. But we didn't lose power, knock on wood. But we did have quite a few thunderstorms here in the Granite State. So little tidbit there. I thought great minds think alike, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, excuse me, in the second half, and I already mentioned Ed Bryans.
Yes.
Ed's someone, too. You're going to hear his story, folks, because he's someone, and he's someone who went at it by himself for a while and did exactly what we do and we implore people to do, get educated. And he was one of those who, and I said to him privately on the phone, I said, it was like my situation. I knew that they wouldn't work harder than I was, that they weren't going to study more than I was. It's just like going in. I say that, folks, too, and we say it all the time, Joe, go into it, Jay, like you're getting ready for the championship fight. Like it's the study more than your opponent.
Exactly.
Be smarter, be more emotionally contained, everything in order. Go in there, and that's going to breed confidence, Jay. You go into court, and you're squared away, and you know your opponent. And you know what Ed said? Little trick. He said he would go in, and hey, this is a great idea, too. He would check out the opposing attorney in cases before his, just to see how his opponent operated. And I'll tell you what, hey, you got to study and know what you're up against. And again, that's what's going to build confidence. You go in there and you study, and that's something that I said to Ed too. I knew that I was undefeatable. I absolutely knew, and you got to keep in with that. Go with your heart. Don't try to slander the other party. Go with facts, and don't even give the silver bullet tactics any credibility or even validate them with any sort of defense in terms of you get the less energy you give. Again, again, I'm not saying don't defend yourself against anything. What I'm saying is don't get emotionally all over the place and let people's,
Right. And I'm fully with you, because I think that there's a lot of people who walk into court, and because the emotions are so high, you start raising your voice. Don't raise your voice, change your argument. That's the best advice that I can give for you. Don't raise your voice, change your argument, and understand that you have, if you're a pro se litigant still and you're defending your own case, you have the right to object as hearsay. You have the right to object under questionable matters. So I would say that would be the biggest thing. If somebody brings up something that's irrelevant to the case, objection, irrelevance. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and I know, Jay, too, a lot of people, and most people, they go and they're scared.
Yeah.
You know, brother, they're scared. This is their whole life. People say, well, that's easy to say. It's my whole life. I have nothing else. And I tell you what, absolutely. But you know what? As we say, Jay, things are going to be the way they're going to be. Go out your way, one way or the other, in terms of, don't, again, I always say, too, it's your book. Don't let anyone else write any of your chapters. Or, again, everybody's a puppet on your strings in this world. It's all perception. You go in there knowing in your heart, in the end, it doesn't matter. If you, quote unquote, lose one day, oh, well, I'm not supposed to win today. It's going to be tomorrow. You know? Yeah. Boy, oh boy, ding dong, Jay. Here we go again.
Ding dong, all right. Yeah, we got him back. We've got him back.
Absolutely.
Hey, it happens.
It was like handing your grandparents a smartphone. That's over here. It was behind the scenes mess.
Mr. Rivera, we would love to blame Neely or Pete, but neither one of them were on. So we'll just say it had to be a Facebook glitch. We can't blame their eyes. So, you know.
I really think it is.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for coming back on, Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely. I was about to ask you, obviously, DC was amazing. Just amazing stuff. Everybody dropping their ego at the door. Absolutely. And 100% looking for reasons and solutions and ideas and focus towards finding solutions. What are some of the solutions that you may have out there that maybe no one's really ever thought of before?
You know, it was a few things right there. I think that one of the things that I found very interesting is that when I stumbled into a radio show, different people had shows already and other shows were starting to join up. And I always found that, you know, the more people out there with the voice, because everyone has an audience. And, you know, people that, you know, might, you know, tune into my show, that's great. But maybe there's more people, and there certainly are, tuning into your show. There's a reach. So I think that the more of us that are out there spreading the word, it's only going to help the situation. And the competition thing I thought was counterproductive.
Right.
The other thing that I had a patient tell me when I was still practicing that really makes a lot of sense is I found that when I attended protests or when I held protests, people were afraid to be there. They didn't want their faces shown. They were afraid of some kind of repercussion or, you know, something. And what I'm trying to do now is to put, and I think there was a person at that meeting that was actually doing fundraisers and more fun events. I forget the gentleman's name.
Yes, probably Dad's Can too, and I believe it was Jesse West Sr. Yes.
Good memory. Good memory. And I think that we need to have more positive outlet events so that way more people are willing to join us and get out. So personally, I'm doing my first annual motorcycle run because I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. But and if I was in any shape to run, I would do a 5K. But I think that would be one of the next things. I think that if we start getting more positive things to go out there, we could spread the word. And certainly your show with its reach is really doing a great job. So
well, thank you.
We need to recruit more people.
Yeah, we do. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Bud and I have always said behind the scenes and in front of the camera, okay, you want to do a show? Go do it.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
go do it.
It's funny that you say that, Jay. And Mr. Rivera, we, again, as I'll concur with Jay too, we say all the time, because as you say, and I've said it before, someone's going to relate to you. They might not, they might tune into myself and Jay. And as I said, Jay, some people might say, I can't stand Bud or I can't stand Jay. But there's someone that does relate, whether it's to me, whether it's to you. So when people say, what do you think? I say more power to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can help even one person, someone that you're gonna reach, and even if that is that one person, Mr. Rivera, go ahead. I'll let you speak after that. It's worth it.
You know what's interesting, Bud, is when a while ago I went out with my girlfriend to get breakfast, and I had a person walk up to me and he knew me, which I was like, yeah, I'm the guy. And he says, I was following you on Facebook, and I really want to thank you because you got me through some tough times. And this is a person I never met. And I got to tell you, I'm very emotional. I kind of got choked up. It's like, I speak out because it helps me to know that I have brothers and sisters in this fight. And to me, that's been a saving, it's been a saving grace. And to think that somebody was listening to me and made a difference in their life, I never thought of it, so now
Right.
you look at it, the people that you guys are reaching, there's somebody out there listening to you that you're really they're hanging on by a thread, and you're helping them out, and you don't even realize it at the time.
Right.
I really think that's the strength that you show.
Yeah, and I think that when Bud and I started this, almost 2 years ago, we said, if one person tunes in and it makes a difference and we stop one suicide, it was worth it. 2 years,
Right.
It's worth it.
Yeah, we said that's why it did work. We're convinced of that. We really said we don't care in the sense of it's about that one person. And again, Jay and I enjoyed it anyway, the banter. So it was, we just said, let's just do this. And as you said, I get emotional too, because I try and tell people, well, I said, especially when I first started videos, it was very therapeutic to me. I said, don't let me fool you. I said, it very much helped me. So as much as you say it helped you, it helped me to keep going. As you said, to know there were people out there that were going, man, I want to hear your words because I can feel them. And it's helping me to go, you know what? There's another day. Tomorrow is a new day for it to fight again.
It's interesting, Bud, is that when, I'm very candid with my struggle with depression, and being through family court and alienations, like it has been a tremendous challenge. And I'm very honest about my fight with the depression and standing at the edge of the abyss and really just having those dark thoughts go through your head. You're like, I try to describe it to people that it's not like you think your life's not worth living. It's just you can't stand living like this for another minute. And I think that those of us who are ensnared with this understand it. And we hardly need to speak about it. We could just acknowledge it and speak with our eyes. It's to the outsider that's the message I try to convey, is like, you're torturing people in an indescribable way. And, when you look at the amount of people that, succumb to the depression, it's a frightening number. And one of the statistics that I looked at, I was putting the numbers together. It's like, what's a visual to this? And there's a local concert venue near my home. I was like, if you take the amount of people that succumb to depression due to alienation, you could fill this arena. So just picture the next time you go to a concert and you're surrounded by souls that just could no longer bear it any longer. And, I want people to realize just the torment that, loving parents go through just because they got divorced. None of us relinquished our rights to be parents. We decided the relationship wasn't working anymore. That was difficult enough. Nobody I have ever seen or heard of out there said, well, I just give up on the kids too. They probably exist. But, I'm trying to make a point in that anybody who's fighting for their children knows, that they love their kids, and that being deprived of the opportunity to be a parent is one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever experienced.
Yeah, and Mr. Rivera, your words really hit home too, because you mentioned the things that don't even need to be spoken. You can feel it, with your brothers and sisters. I can feel it with you right now. To be honest with you, you put off quite an energy. And I can tell you that desperation, as you said, the inner pain. I've been there. My court stuff is done, thankfully, but I couldn't get out of it because of, I have seen the biggest, toughest men dropped. This is such pain when you don't have your child you just want to love. Mm-hmm. You tend to walk in circles to where you don't even know what to do, and the pain is so tremendous. Mm-hmm. And I've felt it to where we've all been to that brink, a lot of us, I should say, and come back and you feel rudderless. It's not that, again, like you said, I know with a lot of people, for myself years ago, it wasn't that you want to die, you just want to finally live.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And so people like you coming out, Mr. Rivera, again, you're empowering, because you're fighting through it and you're making a difference. And that's not blowing smoke, because it took even to come on now. I can feel it, and you took the time because you know, and I know it's going to help more than one person. You're a real man, and there are few and far between out there, but you're doing it. You're living it. You're living it like you should it, and I have nothing but respect for that, sir. Much love.
The respect goes both ways. I mean, we're all joining this fight, and I always tell people, because a lot of people are under the impression that there's one way to do this, so there's one plan of attack. And I tell them it's a multifaceted fight. And when you look at the defense of this nation, you have your Coast Guard, your Army, Air Force, Marines. You have 5 divisions in the military to protect us. It's like we need the people out there to, like yourselves, myself, to give a voice for the injured, the people that are suffering. You need your people out there like Mark Ludwig, who's making headway, in politics with Congress and Senate. Everyone's needed. The legal expertise people, the people fighting the CPSN. My focus is on parental alienation, and that's how we're going to make a difference. And I'm lucky in that I came into this fight at a time where you're really seeing a change. I've been helped tremendously by Gary Jacobs and the Americans for Legal Reform, and the founder of that group has been in this over 30 years. And he says, it's gotten worse in 30 years instead of getting better. I think that we're finally on an advance, that we're starting to break through and make a difference.
Right. Yeah. I think you're 100% right. Right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jay. I agree. And I couldn't agree more about the multifaceted angles, the different strengths people have. I know when you mentioned Mark Ludwig, he plays to his strengths, and there's certain people that have certain talents, and as you said, it's not one thing that's going to defeat this beast. It's going to be a multitude of things and a multitude of ideas, all coming together, and that's the key. We hear the word unity a lot. Again, that people think that means always getting along. We've said before, different personalities sometimes just don't mesh. It's just like a marriage. Sometimes people just can't. Sometimes people just don't mesh. But if you can put aside that bullshit and say that doesn't matter, and at the end of the day, we're going to be high-fiving and hugging our personal difference aside if we can cut the head off this snake. And the only way we're going to do that is to play to our strengths and encourage others to do the same, so we can come together in the end, Jay.
Playing to your strengths is actually a tremendous way to describe it, because as you were speaking, I was thinking, I tried the thing where you go to congressmen's offices, or I've been to, Albany, the state capitol, New York, to petition and meet with politicians. And honestly, I felt like it was such a tremendous waste of time. And I was so frustrated by the process. And personally, I'm convinced that the change is going to come from the outside. The change is going to come from your show, other shows, increasing awareness and putting an outside pressure that's going to force politicians to pay attention. And if you look at us together, there's over 63 million of us, just parents and children affected by this. Could you imagine if a fraction of those people actually got together, and what a tremendous lobbying force there would be? We'd be hard to silence.
Right.
And that's what I try to tell people, is like, just think of our lobbying potential. And, again, you might not like my approach. You don't like me. Great. That's fine. As long as you're fighting the fight and we're pushing together, not against each other, but pushing together.
Right. And I think that's exactly what you said is how we do a standard behind the scenes. And I'm sure you will once you, and I know that you're planning on going back to radio, or maybe even a video. And obviously that's kind of the things that we looked for behind the scenes, was those people that we wanted to include in the team that were specifically goal oriented, and they do not get in the drama that goes on within the movement. And we specifically wanted that, and we point that out. And if anybody is, we let them go. It's a standard that we have because of the fact that you getting into drama is not bringing anyone's children home quicker. That's the biggest thing.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think that, people have to realize, we have to work together. And if you don't, you may not like my approach. You may have a different focus. Like personally, I detest legal strategy. I detest trying to, petition the politicians. I feel that my place is with the people that are suffering, the people that need to get this story out. And
Right.
those are the people I could help. My strength is not in the politics. It's not in the legal strategy. But okay, so that's my role in this fight. That's my part. And I really, if you're making an honest effort to make a change, I'll support you. I may not entirely agree with your method or your strategy, but it's like, you know what? You're trying to make a difference. Your heart's in the right place. I got you back. I'm with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I
Absolutely.
100%
Couldn't
agree.
more.
And definitely we're running down out of time already.
I can't believe it. It's already, wow. This is
So
somewhat
I
of a
want to,
bummer.
definitely want to thank Carlos for coming on. I know that you have a rally, and I'm about to probably mention that here in our calendar of events and birthdays that we have coming up. We want to definitely thank you for being on the program and spending your time coming on. I know that there's hundreds of people out there, obviously, that are watching the show that are interested in you and what you have going on, and fully support you coming back to having a show one way or the other, video or radio. How can they reach you if they would like to go ahead and get in contact with you, Carlos?
I'm pretty open. You could email me at basically my name, C Rivera, Rivera, M as in Michael, D as in David, numeral 3 at gmail.com. I will be starting on a radio station out of the Silicon Valley. It's going to be KCXU. It's going to be internet radio 92.7 for the people in the Silicon Valley area. But hey, it was really, really a privilege, and it was such. I've been out of the game a little bit because of my gag order and my case. But coming back and speaking to you guys really it gives me a second wind, and I was really grateful for this opportunity to talk to you guys. So thank you so much. A tremendous pleasure.
Yeah, definitely the honor's all ours.
Yeah, it is. Again, I don't think we've ever spoken privately, and so this is real. Again, I've known who you are, so this is a big treat. And I'm gonna from now on, I'm gonna bug you every couple of days, Carlos.
My pleasure.
We're gonna get you on that air again. We all have our gifts. We all have our purpose, and I think this is refreshing for all of us, including Jay and I. So thank you, Mr. Rivera. Keep it up. Can't wait to see what you have coming in the future. I know it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
definitely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Awesome there, guys. So Carlos Rivera, absolutely awesome.
Oh boy,
awesome first guest. Wow. And he's done so many radio things out there, helped so many different people get their stories out, and we're very appreciative that he would come on, obviously getting a second win because he's going to be doing this in the future. So great opportunity for us, and we jumped right on that.
Yeah, Jay, and I'll tell you, and I said on the show to him, he puts off quite the energy. If people and certain people know what I'm talking about, definitely you can feel his heart. It's pretty overwhelming when he was on, and we know it for the certain people that don't. Just we don't even know everything because we don't know everything about everyone. What I'm saying is the things that he's experienced. For him to come out and have that beautiful smile on his face. Wow, amazing perseverance at its finest, Money Moth.
Absolutely. I would say there is so much going on in this movement, and if you don't, and we say movement, but we really mean community at this point, because like I said, in order to be a community, in order to be a movement, you have to support and be moving in a certain particular direction. So I want to say community and correct myself there.
That's what we're gonna call it from now on. I know that we've had a lot of people that wanted to kind of rename what it was. I know our friend Jim Cropper, the bomb dropper, he had a good name for it at one point too. It may have been it was something to the effect of community. I think something more family feeling.
Yes.
Community.
Yes.
We're a family. The parental equality family. How about that, guys?
Yeah.
And what do families do? They stick together. They stay loyal. They fight together until the end. So this is a parental equality family, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and I think that you've got to become that before you become necessarily a movement, so to speak, because movements obviously have thousands and thousands of people moving in similar different directions. Right now, we're kind of moving in all different directions and all different paths. And like Carlos was talking about, it doesn't matter what path, we're going to be on, and we're going to do this flank attack from all sides. The important part is to support one another in what we're doing. Those people who are doing the right thing and are being active and not doing some of the wrong things behind the scenes, you know, that just move away from those people that are doing those things. Move straight to doing the right thing.
Yeah, Jay, it was funny too, because as you were speaking earlier, and we talk about, and you say a lot, we both do, and not to get involved in the drama and things. And as you were speaking, it's not even anymore, Jay, and I know you'll agree, about not wanting to deal with it. We honestly don't have time. It's not even just as much as it was. It used to be we don't want to deal with it. We honestly, I can't. Jay, again, we say all the time, this is the fun part of the week when we get to relax and come on the show. We don't have time for the rest.
No.
Yeah, not just the show, but as Carlos mentioned too, I know he gets emails, and we do too. And Jay, we talk about it a lot on a personal level, you and I, about the suicide calls we get, the people at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, where we actually have to reach out to each other after and kind of decompress. Because as you know, those can be, they always are, because you got to come to attention no matter what time it is. And so it's everything. As we talked about, our sister Neely, the stuff that she's experiencing and having to fight. Brother Pete, the real deal McNeil, and I see it all the time. People all over the movement that are going through their own things. And so this, I guess, for us, we want to make it, and we always have it, informative, educational, a little bit light. If we can make you laugh through the tears a little bit, we're satisfied.
Yeah, definitely.
We've done it with each other privately, and we like to do it here in public as well.
Exactly, and that's kind of, you know, when we give this advice, and some of it's slightly humorous, and actually we're being a little bit serious in it too, because honestly, when we say go into court and wink at the judge, we're not actually playing around. We're saying be that self-confident.
Yeah. You know? Right. As Jay says, yeah, and he's really talking literal as well. Again, have that much swagger to where, you know the outcome, because when you go in with confidence, again, Jay, we say it's hard to understand sometimes, but the outcome is irrelevant. You know, whatever the judge, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you go in with your heart completely, you know, you've already won. I used to walk out, and that's what frustrated him most of all back in the days. I'd walk out, it didn't matter. Almost like, you know, at the end of Rocky Balboa, 2006, Jay, when Rocky's done with the fight at the end, if you remember the way it ended, he walked out before they even announced who won. People, and Mason Dixon, his opponent in the fight, he's all, what the hell is this? Because it didn't matter. That the end, he already won. So that's why I felt like that in court. My attorney, when we were in there, he would whisk me right out of there. I didn't care. They'd wake me up and out of there. Because again, it doesn't matter what, again, they don't read outcomes generally in court right there anyway. But you get my point, Jay. Exactly. It doesn't even matter at all. I go home smiling at, you know, the court stuff came on. Cool, I'll open it maybe tomorrow. Again, it doesn't, I already know the deal. So, and everything else is just a roadblock. If it's something that I don't want, this isn't what I want, going back in. I go until I get what I want. And when I know it's right, you will not defeat me again, no matter what you say, how they try and cut you down, because that's what people will try and do too, Jay, is if they think they can emasculate you as a man or make you feel like a horrible mother as a woman, you'll go away. If they can really cut you down at your core, what do we take pride in, Jay? Right, at being a father, a good father. Many of the women that I talk to, right, what do they pride themselves? Being a strong woman, a strong mother. And when you have that God-given right ripped from you and taken from you, and the first thing they'll try and do is make you shake. They'll try and make you shaken with your own confidence. So second guess yourself. Start to wonder if you're actually even sane. Well, these start, oh my God, maybe what they said in court was real. I'll just hide into this rock and do what they say, and I'm worthless. You're right. And then the problem, Jay, is you start to believe it, because it doesn't start like that. It starts off, oh yeah, whatever, and then it starts to whittle you down. So again, we say all the time, surround yourself with people. And I'll give a shout out to my brother Aaron Roberts and his brother Ian, Brook Village crew out there in Nashville. I talked to Aaron today and Ian, and I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of Aaron, and it speaks to, we all go through this. If you are not going through family court issues, you know someone who is. And I say all the time, it'll bring down the strongest of people. So what you have to do is surround yourself with people that say, no. Look in the mirror, like we say, you're the best. Don't, because what'll keep going through your head is the negative. Don't let it. Don't let it.
That's right. And I think that your goal out there, people, in this is to get yourself to a point of focus that says, I don't care whether I win or whether I lose, but I'm going to be the stickiest thorn in these people's side that they have ever had. And I'm going to make them feel it. You know?
Well, Yeah, and I say just like a fight. I said to my wife that I'll die before I'll lose. I will die. They will have to kill me. I will never lose. So I see the clips too, even whether it's an actual physical fight or whether it's a mental one. If you want to win, you have to believe that you're undefeatable, that you cannot be defeated. But you have to be open enough to know that you're not perfect and that you don't know everything. Be open enough to listen, as opposed, and I think we all get that way, Jay, myself included. We've been porked so hard dry by the system that we go in defensive right away. And sometimes I've even been thought, well, wait a minute, I need to really listen to this person. It's someone I haven't dealt with, and they're actually making sense. But I'm so ready to rock. You know, I always was that. You know, and people, you have to keep that in check. Right, Jay?
Exactly. And I think you got to kind of be like that nice shirt that you got there Friday the 13th and kind of be like Jason, whatever, you know, he doesn't die. He just keeps coming back.
Well, yes, this is a part 5, a new beginning. And I'll give a shout out to my boy, Jeff Farnkoff. Finally, I'll pronounce that right. He does authentic movie replica masks. And I got my part 5 from Jeff this week. So I had to wear this in honor of him. So thank you for mentioning that, Jay. Shout out to Jeff and Lakeside Slasher Studios. And again, he puts his work, and I did, into Debbie Voorhees' group, Debbie Voorhees Sheer Horror Group. You might have seen that in there, Jay. And Jeff's a great guy. So thanks for mentioning my shirt. I have a affinity for Friday series. Give a shout out to all the Jasons out there. CJ
exactly. And I think that you're right, because I mean, like Jason, like I was saying, okay. You want the judge to go, oh my God, this guy's back in again. Dang.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I know that's what it was. They'd be like, oh, here comes this. Because again, I've said before, I'll filibuster you. If you know me at all, I can go all. Jay knows me. If I had you, Jay, honestly, in a competition, there's no question. If I said, Jay, I did a 3-day filibuster, I didn't stop for 3 days. It's cool. You didn't go 4. Jay would not doubt it. And I believe that's why I'll go in there. Don't think you're going to try and. Don't let people bullshit you. Don't let people double talk you, flim-flam you, tell you things that they just want you to believe. If you know it's not true, Nat, call them right out. Nope, that's bullshit. I've heard that before. Again, being an actual man, as I've said before, being a strong woman, the society will tell you that's what you have to be. But when you are, they try and cut it down. So you have to know your worth and know what you stand for, Jay. You'll fall for anything. I know that's a song. I know people have it up on their headers a lot, but it's true. Absolutely. Tyler Brady, I believe, out there has that up there.
Yep. And so we're going to have to get into our second hour here, and how we normally do that is our calendar events and our birthdays.
All right. Well, Jay, we.
Okay. So we're getting right back into it here, and I'm gonna do a little bit of this tonight. And I think, Bud, do you have that list as well?
I sure do, Jay. If I didn't, I'd have to blame Pete or Neely, but I do. It's actually to my left, so I'm gonna go powder my nose real quick, Jay, in the bathroom. I have to be polite about it, right? Because we're on the air. Yeah. So awesome. I would go ahead with that, and I'll start with the birthdays, Jay.
Awesome. Sounds great. So we've got events Saturday, July the 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got the 4th annual Law Reformed Barbecue at 14 Ray Lane, Smithtown, New York. I believe that's being put on by Gary Jacobs. So see Gary Jacobs for more details. Sunday, July the 22nd, we've got 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And that is the Parents' Day demonstration of 2018. That'll be at the U.S. Capitol Area 1, West Lawn. See Mark Young for more details. Sunday, July the 22nd, we also have at 2 p.m. Family vs. Courts all family courts across America, and that's being put on by Americans United for Family Preservation. See them for more details. July the 28th, which is a Saturday. If you are in the Springfield, Illinois area, definitely see Dad's Can 2. It'll be Dad's Can 2 Slider Night out there at 5:30 p.m. at Robin Roberts Stadium. So see Dad's Can 2 for more details. All right, so August the 5th, we have Americans for Equal Share Parenting Colorado, Capitals for Kids Tour, 6 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites in Denver Tech Center, Centennial. See Americans for Equal Share Parenting Colorado for more details. August the 18th, which is a Saturday, ILLFE, which is Illinois Fathers for Equality annual meeting and cookout, which will be at 12 p.m. in Bridgeport, Illinois. See Illinois Fathers for Equality for more details. August the 18th will be a Saturday, and that'll be Save Our Children supporting DCYF reform in New Hampshire. That'll be at 12 p.m. at the New Hampshire State House. See Thomas McCarthy for more details. We've got September the 12th, which will be AFESP Texas Capitals for Kids Tour in Austin. That'll be at 6 p.m. At Austin, Texas. So see the Americans for Equal Share Parenting for more details on that. September the 22nd, Parents United Parental Alienation Motorcycle Run. That'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 400 Carlton Avenue, Central Islip, I believe it is Islip, New York. See Papa Bear for more details, which I believe actually that is Carlos Rivera. So see him. He is Papa Bear.
Papa Bear.
Yeah, so September the 6th, that will be Wednesday. That will be Capitals for Kids, Concord, New Hampshire at 5 p.m. See Americans for Equal Share Parenting New Hampshire for more details. And so we'll let Bud take away the birthdays.
Oh, yes. I have the birthdays right in front of me, Jay, and there's two challenging names right at the beginning. Happy birthday today, Ronnie Bergquist, Jacqueline Regnier. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Arthur Mann, Esther Humphreys, Rebecca Hawley, Jason Young, Thomas Nagy. Wednesday, Kirk Pendergrass out there, Jorge O'Keefe. Thursday, Jill Gross, Margaret Savaith, Lori Rutherford out there. We know Lori. Jennifer Bunker. Friday, Dennis Stone, Victoria Sprague, Priscilla Johnson, Lisa Camera, Harold Johnson, Stephanie Ann, Harold. Oh, we have another Harold. Oh, we have different Johnson. Harold Johnson, Ryan Roger, D.W. Sutton, Jason Lent, Sid Cohen, Wade Webb. Saturday, Samantha Green, Lillian Glass, Dale Grimmer, Juan Jose. Saturday, Chad Loudermilk out there in Illinois. We love you, Chad. Dean Tong, Sola Marie, Kevin Woodhurst. Monday, Ricky Showman, Paul Summers, Diane Schreiner, Tina Hall, Sarah Mosin, Katie Boudreau, Carrie Flagg, and Stephanie Malhoff. And I'm sure I butchered some of those names, but hopefully you guys heard your names. Yo, happy birthday. Enjoy your special day. It's the day you came into this world and graced it with your presence.
Exactly. And as we always say every single time after the birthdays and anniversaries, the Far From Normal Radio Show is copywritten, and copywriting or transcripts of the broadcast of the show are strictly prohibited without the express written consent of the Far From Normal Radio Show staff and board of directors. All right. So interesting first half there. And we've got our next guest waiting here on the lines in the wings with us. We'll bring him in here shortly.
There he is.
All right. There he is.
Hey, look at him. He's got his gloves on. There's the man.
It's a New Hampshire thing.
Yeah.
It's a great estate thing, Mr. Bryans. Ed Bryans, for the few that don't know, wonderful man, Jay, and we're gonna have a blast. He knows that. Hey, he knows how to break the ice. He knows how to break the ice, Jay.
Hey, talking about breaking ice there, Bud. You experienced the rain today, man. Just in case you're in New Hampshire.
Yeah, have you wrung yourself out yet, Ed? How many towels did you have to use when you got home? Yeah.
Let me slip over here. I'm prepared, brother.
Yeah, Ed said he took his raft. Yeah, he floated home and right into the shower.
Awesome.
I needed to warm up.
Awesome. Ed Bryans out there in New Hampshire, guys. So amazing stuff that you're doing, because you're working definitely with those legislators out there, like Kim Rice being one of them. Amazing young lady, and doing a great job out there, working with you when it comes down to 50-50 shared parenting with a rebuttal presumption, obviously. When we talk about these things. And I know I met you in DC. You had a great talk and great speech about some of the things going on out there in New Hampshire. Let all of our viewers in on exactly what you're doing out there for equal share parenting, as well as running for, obviously, state representative, like your sign says behind you.
Hey, I'm going to take any opportunity.
He's not in this to just run. He's going to win. He's in it to win it. I'm going to be working with that. And he's not in this to just make somewhat of a statement.
My daughter is my campaign manager. So I don't know.
Well, then yeah.
10-year-old, we ride around house to house on hoverboards, segways. Hey, people don't seem to ask me a single issue. They're more curious about the hoverboards.
Again, Jay, icebreaker. He knows how to break that ice. He's a conversationalist. He knows how to start conversations too.
Yeah. Hey, if that's what it takes to get 50-50 share parenting, let's all get on hoverboards. Let's do it.
And before we get rolling, I want to preface and say, Ed and I'm very fortunate, as you know, to live in New Hampshire near Ed. And I said, Ed and I are going to meet for lunch soon. But I'm convinced, and I've said to Allie too, I said to my wife, block aside some time, because when Ed and I get together, I can already tell it's not going to be like an hour-long meeting. It's going to be like one of those, oh my God, Ed, it's 3 a.m. We better go to the IHOP.
It was a little dangerous to have a little conversation before the show tonight. I almost kept him from a shower. That would have been horrible. I think people would have been upset.
Oh, yeah. Well, I needed to refresh. We mentioned that too, give people that private. He took a shower, and he didn't want to deprive me because he felt so refreshed. I said, isn't it feel good to get the slime off you? He said, yes. So I'm going to give you the same opportunity. So it worked out perfectly.
Awesome.
Well, I do appreciate it. I mean, just to go back, you mentioned Kim Rice. Kim Rice and I go way back, long before she was a legislator. We met through an effort, knowing there was a shared parenting type bill coming up at the State House. We met each other carrying torches and pitchforks. And Kim stepped up before I did and said, you know what, I'm going to run. And she was elected. That was her first term as a freshman. Second term, she was made the chairwoman of the Child and Family Law Committee. So she really stepped into a role. Some of the backgrounds that we experienced through our battles certainly prepared her. So Kim has really stepped up and is, in fact, I think she belongs to 6 or 7 different outreaches of different committees, DCYF committees. As a matter of fact, I was invited to her house Sunday for a picnic. It was a very personal experience. Lots of legislators, 2 candidates for Speaker of the House were there. One of them will win. So just, we were slapping each other on the back and, hey, Ed, hey, Bob, hey, Fred, it was just very, very casual. So I think we all need that instead of the official representative and sir and ma'am. And it was just a very, very good experience. But
you quickly, you said behind the scenes too, it was great. Next time I'll have to get down there. Next time I'll have to rub the elbows too with you guys. I'm looking forward to it. You would mention.
This is the first time we've had that.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's great. You mentioned Kim too, and I'll say, Jay, we're gonna have Kim on the show in the future, and it was just unfortunately and as I said to Ed too, the timing. We were gonna have her on. I asked her at one point, and poor Kim, she had done another show, and her voice was annihilated. And I remember it was right in the winter. She was sick, and she was a trooper. She even said, well, let me get back to it. I said, this poor woman, she puts it all out there. And as you said, her hands are up in a lot of different things in terms of Kim seems like, from what I've seen from a distance, someone to really immerse herself and really, when she does it right, puts her heart into it. We need that.
It was discussed Sunday. It wasn't all fun and games. Got to have some very good conversations. But the Parental Alienation Study Committee bill that was passed and signed by the governor, Kim Rice is on it. Couldn't ask for a better person. Senator Avard is on it. Representative John Burt, I don't know if you've heard his name, being a New Hampshire person. John is just one of the greatest guys. He's very funny too. I mean, he can pass legislation with a smile on his face, and that's pretty cool. So I mean,
you had mentioned, I'm sorry, you had mentioned Kevin Abbott too, being down in the Nashua area. I have an affinity for Kevin, so we'll give a shout out to Kevin Abbott out there too. Thanks for all the hard work. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the senior member, being the senator in that committee, and talking to Kim. They haven't called the first meeting. It was just signed a week or so ago, and there's a lot of people on vacation, things like that right now. Right. But they have to have a report together by November before this legislative session is up. So that report in turn will be preparation for new legislation next session.
Awesome.
So,
awesome. That gives you a lot to go off of, obviously, for the future, because having that parental alienation study in the committee and how that is going to affect what you do when we come back into it for the 50-50 rebuttal presumption, obviously it's going to make a big impact, because you're going to have all of those studies available to you. And this is like not this study. I mean, we're talking about like stacks and study. It's huge, and it's going to be good.
It's good I'm not on a committee, because I would have pretty much a single sentence that just says, you want to avoid parental alienation, make a 50-50 rebuttal presumption bill, pass it. It's pretty. That's going to eliminate a lot of it.
Right. And I know that in Illinois, our biggest kickback obviously has been from two different areas. So I'll let you in on those, and I'm sure you probably know what they are already. But the two biggest areas that we see in this, obviously, is the Bar Association. We all know that one. That's going to be there because we're taking away their money, their income. So that's going to be there. And then your other biggest one is obviously going to be your domestic violence people. And we understand that, because look, that's why we're putting in a presumption rebuttal to that.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And I would say in those cases, I think what needs to happen is the committee on the 50-50 presumption rebuttal bill that comes out really needs to start working and working together with the DV people and saying, hey, look, it's in there. It's right here, presumption rebuttal. It's in there for you specifically.
I 100% agree. And, you know, it's very hard. I mean, I talked to Bud a little bit about political, I'm obviously a Republican candidate. Right. It's very difficult in New Hampshire. I mean, our last shared parenting bill, 100% of the Democrats voted against it. And the Democrats I've met and talked to, I mean, when I asked them, you know, what was it about the bill that bothered you? I mean, can we come to some sort of a compromise? Can we have a discussion at least? And they all seem to be willing to do it. I think a lot of times leadership tells them how to vote, and they just step right up and this is how we go. Yeah. But I've been having some successes talking to the other side of the aisle without even being an elected person, and doors are opening. I mean, you can't deny evidence. You can't deny peer-reviewed studies. Right. Frankly, I'm becoming very close with a couple of congressional candidates, and of course, we know Mark Ludwig is working that in the federal level. So if I can get a couple of my representatives up there, I mean, they're being prepared for what's going on up there.
Well, yeah, they very much are. And I know that Mark had mentioned that because he's very wise in how he's going about it. And we're kind of getting more wise, but we kind of fly off the cuff every once in a while, just for humor's sake. But obviously we're very mindful of the fact that people are watching the Far From Normal radio show that might be there in Congress and whatever. We're very mindful that they're definitely watching Americans for Equal Share Parenting and doing their homework, obviously.
Yeah. Right. And quickly, guys, just you mentioned Mark Ludwig. He says hello from DC. I saw he's watching right now. So hello to Mr. Ludwig. And
Yes.
it's funny because we love Mark. He's just so I was thinking if there's ever anyone you want to emulate in how to conduct yourself and how you handle yourself in this sort of atmosphere, it's definitely Mark Ludwig. What he's done and what you have too, people that don't know Ed out there, he's a very genuine heart. And Jay had the opportunity and to meet you, Ed, and spoke very highly, as did Pete McNeil. And I've spoken to you enough. This is a man who wears it out there on his sleeve and does what's right. And he's smart and he's funny and he's really come into his own. So I'm looking forward, Ed, to seeing how you progress here because the sky's the limit for you, my brother.
Well, and Bud, to go back a little bit, you and I had that short discussion about how we each handled our pro se court cases. And it is, you're in it to win it. And I got in there and I can't tell you the burning the midnight oil, just pouring over in my closet. I still probably have 10 boxes of paperwork. I'm afraid to throw it away.
Right. Yep.
Now 4 years old. I have 50-50 parenting. My ex and I, God love her. I mean, her and I, man, we would have met in a dark alley. It may have been a different story. We're the best of friends. I mean, just the other day, I mean, she demonstrated how much she had my back in a situation. So, I mean, we both live to provide the best environment for our daughter, regardless of our past.
As it should be.
It's just, it continues to grow. It's almost, we have a contest of who can be the least alienating parent. Well,
I'll tell you what. Hats off to your daughter's mother out there. Again, it would be very easy, Ed, as you know, and I'm quite sure she does, to fall into that proverbial trap and kind of, do what the norm, quote unquote, is. But we like to go and do things a little bit. There you go.
Far from normal, definitely, brother.
Yes, brother. Thank you.
And I think it's great because obviously, if the other parent is willing to work with you, then obviously the other person has enough wherewithal to understand what parental alienation means, what 50-50 custody, and what 50-50 custody means, because obviously maybe I don't know if you had to go back into court to fight for that, but obviously at some point along the lines that person bought into it too, and that's great when the other person has the recollection to understand that this is in the best interest of my child. Who cares about me? Who cares about my wealth or me obtaining any type of child support? I'm more interested in retaining a college fund that sends my daughter or my son to college instead of the attorneys and the judges.
Absolutely.
Change the subject slightly. I met a woman at Kim's party who I had followed a little on Facebook, Deborah Childs, time to put kids first. I didn't realize she was a New Hampshireite.
I actually didn't either. I didn't either, but go ahead. Yeah.
But she's got a 70,000 person following.
Wow.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And Deborah's hearing a little of her story. She basically is saying, let's avoid that legal fight. I mean, her following, this is her. And as Dr. Rivera was mentioning, you guys, we each have our niche, and he has a niche that fits a certain need. And I mean, going back, if I could have avoided all that, I mean, I lost a house out of the deal, and and I jokingly say, could have saved everybody a lot of time and effort to say, you want the house, here you go, and I'll give you my kid, and let's move along. Let's start over again and building up again. But there's little sayings that stick in my head. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And there was a reason I went through this. And here it is years later. I know the pain. I felt it firsthand. And there's a reason why I'm still in this fight. And it has nothing to do with my own situation. My situation is great. But if I can use my situation as an example, which happens very often, again, I'm diverting again, but I've spoke up there at the hearings enough. I'll tell you, when you're up there angry, shaking your fist and pointing your finger at the legislator, they tune you out.
Mhm.
Right.
I've been up there
Well,
post and talk about the successes. My daughter's been student of the month multiple times. This is with two loving, fit parents in her life. And, you know, you can almost see their ears bend.
Mhm.
well, it's you got to think of it like this too, as you said too. They stop listening. Anyone would. Human behavior. I mean, I always try to put myself in that flip position and go, how would I react if somebody was? You got to really put yourself in a position of someone else too, and someone listening to this, and those sort of people, the legislators that you're talking to, a lot of it's business they want. When Mark goes up there, he doesn't go up there. He goes up there and he's professional. He goes and puts the facts down. He does it with respect. He does it and he hopes for that reciprocation. And the only way you're going to get that is if you go up there and conduct yourself in a respectful way and present your argument in a solid, fact-based way. You know, and passion is one thing, emotion's another.
Right. And I think that this brings up a good point, because when we talk about protests versus rallies, good thought and idea here is, okay, if you want to have a protest sign of some sort or whatever it may be, that's okay. Let's make it more positive of, hey, help us, do this because it's going to be better for our kids, not I hate you, judge, and blah, blah.
Well, people don't put enough stock into that energy, Jay. What you put out is what you get back. And it really is true. Are a lot of things wrong? Sure. Should they be addressed? Absolutely. Address them in a productive way. Again, people, as I said, don't take enough. Again, karma and everything else we talk about, Jay, I try and put it out there. And no, you're going to receive that when you're doing things from your heart. I think we're an instant gratification society too, Jay. And Ed, so we want to see results instantly. And as Mark has mentioned too, even with the the different things that are being presented, these things take time. And on a personal level too, we want that vindication overnight. We want our children overnight. It teaches us, if nothing else, amongst many other things, patience. That's one thing I had to very much learn.
Exactly. And I think that when I first met and heard of Ed, it came down to something that I said that was probably out of context. And I think that I probably shouldn't have said it the way that I said it, and I had to retract it. But it had to do with Thomas Ball, who was out there. And unfortunately, I said something about how I didn't want to glorify that situation. And maybe that came off wrong. So I apologize for that, because I know there are a lot of people out there in New Hampshire who are great big supporters of getting that story out there. And I know you're one of them, obviously, that brought that out, that I wasn't completely aware of. But obviously, Thomas Ball, I'm going to go ahead and let you tell the story, because you tell it much better than I do. But you're from that area. So it comes down to a fact of a father who was so alienated from his child that some very, very awful things happened in a way of committing suicide. So I'll let you kind of explain that.
That's so interesting, Jay. And I mean, at first I was going to hold this down. I don't know how well a camera will pick this up, but I don't know if you can see that. This is the Cheshire County Courthouse steps. And this picture was taken just hours after this man on a Friday afternoon, beautiful sunny day, stood in front of the Cheshire County Courthouse, took a gallon of gasoline. Everybody kind of watched him. I've talked to a couple people that I witnessed it, but just asked everybody to stand back and put a lighter to himself, and stood there and just fell to the ground. And like you said, there's no way, shape, or form this was in any way an answer. I mean, there's no going back from that. But it's the irony of the situation of how the court handles it. I mean, the next day, the sidewalk was painted over with gray paint. I mean, this is how quickly they covered up what would make a man so desperate to do that. Right. This man had thought about this and wrote a 17-page letter and sent it to the newspaper.
It's heartbreaking. I've read it more than once. It's a tough read, but it's a necessary read, Ed.
Right.
It's to take the light off of that. This was my introduction to the Cheshire County Courthouse. I had just been served with ex parte orders. I mean, I'm going to hash out my story, but my daughter's 3rd birthday, I dropped her off to daycare with cake, ice cream, and friends being my last words to her. Show up at 4 o'clock, and the daycare handed me a piece of paper that said I am no longer allowed contact with my daughter. So they had a secret hearing. Didn't even have a cell phone. Anybody could have called me, hey, there's a hearing taking place. This was all done in secret, in the dark. And these innocent daycare providers breaking the news to me. I mean, I broke down in tears. They offered to give me a ride home. What a crappy system we have. And so I'm going to the court, and then this happens within a few days. I'm going, what have I gotten into? So maybe that made a mark in my heart to why I'm still in this fight, because I know enough other people that are affected forever, enough children. I see it. I mean, I serve on a school policy committee. I mean, I love kids, man. I love my kids. I just love kids in general. And if I can give back in some way, I mean, running for state rep, you can't be a one-trick pony. I mean, I know the family law part of it. I know the education part of it. Root of society's problems, man, start at home. I mean, let's
absolutely.
Right. You're 100% right.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, because when we're talking about anything, we're talking about youth that don't respect their parents enough, or they're not guided by their parents because they're not there in their life, and they become criminals, or they have teen pregnancies or teenage suicides. It's all because it's family court system. And we have to revert back to, why is it that we've got a good parent who's willing to be in a child's life and wants to so badly be in that child's life, yet they're being extroverted from their life? And so these children become introverts, and they turn to games, and they turn to criminal behavior for gratification. And unfortunately, we have that in our society, and it would just completely change our society if overnight we said 50-50 custody, that's it, and everybody goes back to it. Let's go.
Well, quickly, I think what you said too, Ed, and I'll let you expand on this, is I believe it is the breakdown of the family. Absolutely. Again, there's so much to be said, and I know it's hard not in this society we live in to be able to do it, but where you learn the most is at the dinner table, sitting down, even just, hey, what would you do today? Things, the breakdown that we've normalized certain things that shouldn't be normalized. We've allowed certain things where again, this isn't blame in terms of our parents, whatever. We're seeing the results of the breakdown of the family overall. We're seeing the results of people just cheating haphazardly, minimizing their own vows, minimizing their own words. People's word means nothing nowadays. Yeah. People, I love you means nothing. People, yes, I do, I'll commit to you means nothing unless something else could. And people are weak. We are a society that doesn't know how to face-to-face say, hey, this bothered me, what you said. Let's talk about it. We're a texting society where men and women don't even have the balls nowadays to break up other than a text message, right? We don't even know how to confront issues. This is a result of people who don't know how to confront their own issues and have not been taught to conduct themselves in a healthy way in terms of relationships. Yeah, this is what happened.
Yep,
absolutely.
Go ahead, Ed. I'm definitely give you time to kind of talk about that.
No, and it's I know it was I'm not picking any words, but as far as it took a long time to get us here, and Jay, I know you said that, hey, things would change overnight. It'll take a while to undo this. I mean, 5 years, 10 years, the world would look a lot differently if we started today and made this 50-50 standard. I mean, it's going to take a little while to see the results, because these children are going to grow up and be healthy parents themselves. And I mean, just what a beautiful world. Hey, I've got another little prop here. We're going to make New Hampshire awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
Where did I have my horns? I had my, oh, here it is. I've got a couple of things laying around. I saw this. I said, well, that's pretty cool. I saw this for our show. The Far From Normal, the prototype bumper sticker, right? And the ones that you had made. Yeah, we'll be rocking those. We've got a lot of different little things we're doing. Definitely, Ed, definitely push what you're doing. I'm looking forward to working with you and having that. We'll probably have to go somewhere that does brunch so we could get there at like 10 and do lunch and talk until 3 or whatever.
You know, I'm a proud, happy parent, and my daughter, she's hey man, she might be the first female president of the United States. You know,
Why not?
Grooming her.
Well, hey,
but,
well, I always think people, you know, the people laugh. Why not? I'll say, people, hey, I can do this. Why not? Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to break that ground, right?
She is. She's stepping up and speaking about things. She's seeing me do it, and my daughter definitely's got the Ed Bryans speak up gene.
Well, I tell you, that speaks to what we always say, Ed. Kids don't do what you say; they do what you do. So they watch what you do, and they follow that. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want. They watch very closely at what you do, and they emulate that.
Yeah. You know, I mean, New Hampshire's a little unique. I mean, we're the first in the nation, and I mean, you know, I think last presidential run, I met 12 of the candidates. I mean, I'm running around now, meeting them all. These are just normal, fun-loving people, and we did a parade last weekend with Lynn Blankenbecker, who's running for Congress. And, you know, Lynn's a family court attorney, but Lynn is 100% on board with what we're talking about and making changes. But my daughter and I rode our Segways in the parade carrying her banner. Lynn went home and bought 3 Segways of her own. Her campaign. So
well, who's that?
Messages. She's recruiting my daughter to get her trained on it. So
who's the gentleman again? The name is a familiar name. Who's a gentleman who invented the Segway in Bedford, I believe. What was his name? I was gonna say whoever it is. He has a name with someone else who's.
Those are those big ones with handles.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say whoever.
Hoverboard, and there was rumors they were blowing up at one time. Those little tiny.
Are those hoverboards real? Are those hoverboards? I know they actually sell those now.
They have wheels. They don't float.
Right, but I actually, you can go on. You can see there's some. They don't sell them yet, but they somewhat work, Jay, but they don't because of the way gravity works and the way it wouldn't actually work. But they've tried it.
Yeah. I think it stands still instead. It doesn't go anywhere. They're stuck.
Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. You get on it and you go, that's it. It's all right here. Just close your eyes.
I mean, is this a little unconventional activism when you're out there rubbing elbows with the future congressperson, you know, teaching them ride Segways? I mean, this is how we do it in New Hampshire. You know? But you know, when it comes down to getting down and dirty and doing the work, it's making these contacts that are important.
Mm-hmm.
And these people have a face and a father-daughter relationship to relate to when they make decisions that affect all of us throughout the nation.
Exactly. So, definitely you want to get your foot in the door by creating that contact and then tying in emotionally with them in some way, shape, or form. Say if your son happens to be in the same school, you know, hey, you know, my son's in that school too, and blah, 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 blah. And now they find it very, very hard to vote against a 50-50 custody bill because they're seeing your face when they make that vote.
And I put my face right up in there. It's a lot, you know, with a smile. but yeah, I mean, this entire week, it's a little tougher. I be very honest with what I wish, and some of your viewers, if there's anybody from New Hampshire, I wish I had a Democrat counterpart that was doing the same thing with those candidates. I mean, I'm sure we wish that a lot in other areas, but I'm making my rounds. I'm meeting a lot of people and talking to them. And unfortunately, the circle that I run in, I'm with a certain group that it repeats sometimes. You don't see the same people. But man, if everybody would just, this is the prime time before the elections. I mean, they're making themselves accessible and they're taking the time. They want your vote. But,
exactly.
You know, we
But definitely, I would say this. I know that there's a lot of people out there who do this kind of thing in their mind, and they go, yeah, okay, I want to know what your views are on 50-50 custody, because if you don't go with 50-50 custody, I'm going to make sure you don't get voted in. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's counterproductive. You know, because basically what you're saying to that person is, I'm threatening you, because I'm going to make sure that you're not in a position that you need to be in because you're not voting the way I want you to vote. That's not how we do things. And we're trying to win hearts and minds. We're not trying to win votes here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we were at the Capitol event and meeting LaShawn Ford.
Yes.
I mean, he touched my heart. I mean, genuine good man that
awesome. Yeah.
Vote on things the way that I would like, but he's in this fight. And I'm not ashamed to admit this is a major issue to me. This is why I'm running. It's not because of the budget, and it's not because of this and that. This is an important issue to me. And of course, I am familiar with the other issues, but this is something I want to focus my energy on. And New Hampshire, and maybe finally I could put some things to rest, and I'll burn all those boxes in my closet. But
no, never.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, yeah, definitely. I would say the thing is, right now you're keeping those around because that the law is there, and if that law changes, sure, you're going to be willing to give that up, but you're always on guard as a parent, even if you win 50-50 custody, because you're always reverting back to, oh, this could happen, and I could be taken back to court at any time, and I could still go through this again.
And I hate to think of it like that because of where the past relationship has come. I mean, I just don't see it happening. There's been too much learning and growth for us as parents. I mean, the kids don't come with a guidebook and say, well, if you get divorced, this is the plan you need to follow. But my father told me something before he passed, and it was like, you get to know who you married when you're going through a divorce, because the claws come out, and it's ugly. And all due respect for ex, but she has admitted her. When you hand it to a lawyer, they're fighting for their client. Sometimes you don't have to agree with it, but through my whole battle, I wished I could just hand my boxes of paper over to somebody else and expect the best outcome from my perspective.
Right.
It just doesn't happen like that. I mean, you know your own case better than anybody else. Bud and I talked about that as well. Going in there and being honest, you prepare, but when you don't have lies to cover, it's pretty easy to go in there and just tell the truth.
As Judge Judy says, when you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory, and that's a fact.
Perfect. And
so if you do your homework, right? And quickly, if we can give the aforementioned LaShawn K. Ford a shout out.
Yes.
He's been on the show before. Awesome guy. So give a shout out to LaShawn out there. Keep it up, our friend, and we'll have him again in the future on the show.
He's got an invite to visit New Hampshire anytime.
Absolutely. We'll have him up here at the lake. We'll have a big barbecue, and we'll have Sean up here, and you guys will have to taste my cooking. So you'll either be back all the time or never come back. One of the other.
Some of that leadership training Kim Rice had mentioned, I think she has met LaShawn. In fact, she was just in a leadership training this last week and met the Kentucky crew, as she called it.
Right.
We all know that their law just went into effect this week.
Yes. And amazing stuff. Big shout out to Kentucky, definitely for presumption 50-50.
Thank you, Ed, for mentioning that. Thank you. That's huge. Yes, Jay and I.
It is huge. It is huge, and it's a huge step. I was just so hoping it was Illinois first.
Yeah. And you have the naysayers out there too, guys, and it's you're never going to make people 100% happy all the time. So, and as Mark says all the time, it's baby steps. It takes time. Yep. So some of the frustrations, just stay the course, warriors, and we will come out victorious.
Absolutely. So we're getting towards the end here of our time with Ed here. And Ed, I definitely want to give you a props and thank you so much for being on. Obviously, your time is obviously precious running for state representative out there. So definitely want to thank you for coming on and your time and anything we can do out there for you. How do people get in contact with you to support out there in New Hampshire?
Oh, that's good. Well, I do have a Facebook page. It's probably the easiest. It seems a mainstream way. It's easy to find Ed Bryans NH. It'll pop right
We'll get that on the Far From Normal show page. And go ahead. Keep going.
I do appreciate that. I do have a specific email for I'm hoping constituents and things like that, so that we can keep that personal contact. But that's Ed Bryans NH at mail.com. There's no G in front of it, at mail.com.
Just mail.
So that one, it doesn't seem to be the account set up, but I'm not real active with it yet. My campaign is just beginning.
It's in its infancy, and it's happening organically, Ed, and it's happening exactly as it's supposed to. Again, this is all new for you, I know too, and you're networking, you're doing positive things, and it's all from your heart. That's why I know. There's some people. I do have a crystal ball with certain things. It's certain hard to know. So you just go like what Jay and I we've discussed. No matter what, I know Jay's heart. So all the rest, as long as you're honest, you have a heart. All the others BS falls into place.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you.
Jay, and thank you. I mean, I did get to meet you. We didn't get to spend a whole lot of time together, but just recently, I think I've watched 3 or 4 of your shows. So I feel like I've gotten to know your personality, and you guys provide something so valuable. I mean, and I wish I would have known about this show when I was going through my issues.
Yeah.
And so when we do get these people reaching out, and I've heard some horrible stories, and it does, it wears you a little bit. And I'm trying to focus less on this cookie cutter problem, but what are we going to do to fix it?
That's right.
But I can refer them to this show and say, you know what, listen to these guys. They've been there. They know what's going on. And I hate to say it, it's not a way out, but I'm giving them something productive. And I'm proud to refer the people here with your guests you have on. I'm sorry, sometimes you get a weaker one like myself, but
you are no. It all starts with empowerment, Ed. You're a lot of things, my friend, just like I am. Weak is not something I would use to describe you as. Absolutely.
We have our different quirks, and I'm working behind the scenes and doing my thing. And
that's why I'm gonna message you every day. Ed, you know you're awesome, right? Ed, you know you're perfect, right? You know you're right where you're supposed to be, right? Ed, I don't want to hear anything other than that, right? Ed, yes, bud. Good. Go start the day.
Doing it over brunch then, bud. I appreciate it.
Hey, all right.
As we get this Capitals for Kids and carrying the venue, I just want to put this out there.
Yes.
I'm working on it, but I think I've got something a little bit unique compared to some of the other states. I'm not talking about a ballroom at a hotel, but talking to the House Majority Leader and the Speaker candidates, we may be able to have our event in the Legislative Office building. So an 1800 building, an historical landmark. It holds our 400 it'll sure as heck hold a couple hundred people that could show to this event. I mean, marble walls. I mean, our Constitution on the wall.
And I'm familiar. And when Ed told me that behind the scenes before the show, I said, "Wow," because as some people know, I always say I help Ed with that stuff because he does much more than I do. But that's why we're going to get together. And I was so excited when he told me that was a possibility, just to really solidify it in that way. And we've got a lot of planning Ed and I do behind the scenes. So Mr. Ludwig, don't worry. And it's going to be great. We're very proud of it. And very much.
This is the kind of stuff you do on a picnic Sunday over a steak and a beer,
There you go.
It's like it's fallen into place.
That's where the deals are made. No matter what it is, it's over a steak and a beer. That's where the real work's done.
That's who got my steak that I ordered.
Right. Absolutely. Don't take Jay's steak. That's the deal breaker. Don't take his beef.
Back and stomp. All right.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate you. Awesome.
I appreciate you. Good talking to you both.
All right.
Love you, pal. I'll talk to you later on tonight.
You guys.
All right, so awesome stuff there, Ed Bryans. He's got a great sense of humor on that guy. I think it's great, awesome, and so we got people out there in New Hampshire of all places, out of anything that's running for state representative, who's fully 100% behind a presumption rebuttal 50% custody. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. So, I've got some swagger coming from New Hampshire, with Kim Rice, Ed Bryans. We mentioned Kevin Albert, all the people. And that's right. I'm from New Hampshire. All the good. That's right. The Granite State. No, we're very fortunate again, and every state has some heavy hitters. When I say that, people that are taking action, got their feet on the pavement, doing work, and as we've said, from all different angles. What a great second guest, and what a great first guest too, Mr. Ducker.
Oh yeah, been a great night, and we're so thankful and blessed for the opportunity each and every week to come to you guys live on Facebook. If there are some algorithm issues or problems ever, we'll definitely go to YouTube, but we'll still be broadcasting that link back to Facebook, because we want to make sure that you get the show, that it's not cut off, that there's not anything wrong with the show when you're watching it. So if we happen to do that, we'll definitely let you know far in advance. But right now we're sticking on Facebook. We're going to see how this works.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, we're on a lot of different, we're on YouTube. We're all over the place. You can find us. And if you Google Far From Nowhere, there's a million shows that come up, and we're pretty easy to find, especially now, Jay. Who would have thunked it, right? Who would have thunked it?
Yeah, who would have thought two guys just came on the radio show and just thought, we'll give this an opportunity.
I say, Jay, we're just old men living high school dreams. I say that on there. We always laugh at that. We're just old men that say, really? You guys are watching? Okay, well, fine, let's do it.
Hey, just two guys chatting it up like we normally do on the phone all the time. So we just put it on the radio now.
Well, yeah, I say it to Jay all the time. So I said, Jay, if we didn't put it out there, we'd be doing it on the phone anyway, like women. Yeah. We'd still be chatting probably with Zoom too, whether people were watching or not. So, but people watching is better, as I said, Jay. And again, and on a serious note too, we get reached out to every week by a multitude and a plethora of people, and I tell you, there's some people that we meet every day, Jay, and that really inspire us. Even the people that think that they're weak, I hear all the time, I can't, I wait, because these are the people that are going to overcome. And people thank us a lot for the empowerment. No, it's all we're doing. We're not doing anything other than reminding you of your greatness. We're not putting greatness in you. All we're doing is, hey, it's kind of that, hey, hello, McFly. What did you forget here? We're not, this is nothing. We're not doing anything but reminding you and hitting that refresh button so you guys know your value and your worth, because that's where it starts, Jay.
That's exactly right. And we've got some amazing people out there in this movement, and they're doing some, we're doing all kinds of different things out there. And it's coming to an empowerment point of view where people who are very artistic, who can do some amazing things, either with music or either with their actual artwork and drawings and paintings. And I put out some parental alienation paintings this week.
Yeah,
we put out everything and anything that we can that can help inspire people to go in a different direction other than wallowing in self-pity and doubt.
Jay, so beautifully said, and you did those pictures, and I believe the word you used when you put those, you could feel, and I could too when I saw those. And I tell people all the time too, and I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face or whatever the color is. Don't let these things that, again, I don't say happen to you, that puts a mentality on it, as I say, Jay, that victimization, things that you experience that shape you, make you, or break you. Don't let these things that you experience, let people that do these things regret doing it because you flourish, because it made you take it on and say, wow, this is going to teach me something and open doors because of this hate. I said in court, and you can ask my wife, she was there every time more than once. Whenever they said something hateful or untrue, and you can ask Jay, I would say, keep making me a hero. And I'd say it with my arms out just like that, The Shield. Season 2, I believe it was, Allison, my beautiful wife. I couldn't wait to use that line, keep making me a hero. But I say it honestly, because when people throw their hate, if you don't react to it, it's all about reaction, folks. You're a scumbag. Whether you punch them in the head or you sit there and cry all night because you think you're a scumbag, is totally up to you. It's not on them. No one does anything in terms of making, you made me feel that way. No, you did. You allowed yourself to be influenced that way. Say, okay, if you can look at it and say, okay, if I wasn't put in this position, right, when you're walking out of the corner road, you might bump into someone and say, wait a minute. And you make a connection, and this person changes your whole world, and you change their world.
Hey! Hold on. I'm getting something in my headphone here. I think that we might get we have some breaking news here from the backwoods of North Carolina.
Welcome everyone. We're getting ready to blow up some tannerite for the welcome for the Far From Normal radio show.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh. This is.
Oh boy. What's going on?
Oh,
Oh yes.
Oh.
Remember this.
Oh Lord.
Well, I think those are our pictures, Jay. I don't know. I think that's yes.
That's us. Oh my goodness. What in the world's going on there?
Yes, this is fun. We're gonna watch a lawn being mowed live on the air. No, that's not what it is. That's not what it is.
Yes, I'm live.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Who is that? Who is that? What in the world?
Yes, sir. Right here.
You gotta listen close.
Oh my good Lord, that's Randy Davis.
Bud Veno, J Moss, Far From Normal radio show, Future Children Radio Network. Team Rev It Up.
He's congratulating us, Jay, for the 87,000 views.
87,000 views. He's congratulating us. Awesome.
And he's gonna blow this up, Jay. Here we go.
Oh Lord.
Come on. Excited.
Oh.
Here it comes. Here we go.
Oh, holy moly.
Oh, all right, Jay. Yes.
Woo.
That's revved up.
That's revved up.
Thank you to Randy Davis. That was very humbling, Jay. I know that touched us both. And I told my wife and Mason, my youngest, guys, 8:00. It's gonna be fun. And so we all kind of gathered around. We all watched. It was awesome. It was an honor. It was a lot of fun.
I made you wait a little bit on that report, but yes, awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's actually the timing of it because we had discussed when we were going to do that. So, and you did throw me off. It was perfect. Perfect, Jay. Perfect. Yeah. So again, thank you to Randy Davis and everybody out there, Rev It Up, and everybody.
Definitely.
Very humbled and honored. Thank you for listening and watching. Continue.
Yeah. Awesome. 87,000 views. So that means very, very shortly out there, we will be close to 100,000 views. And
that's just on Facebook. That's just on Facebook. Yeah. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we're so absolutely appreciative. And like we always say all the time, this is your show. We just get blessed to be the hosts of the show.
Absolutely.
And we can't do this without you guys. If we do have openings as well, just wanted to let you know for off-camera roles. So if you guys are interested in being a part and helping do different things like share the show or help us with guests and all of the different websites and things that we put up, definitely give us and drop us a line at the Far From Normal Radio Show at gmail.com. We would be glad to talk to you and get back with you very, very shortly. So we're going to lead right in here to the shout outs. Mr. Bud Veno.
Yo, and yo, my brother from another mother, Jay Money Moss, July 17th, 2018. For the last time tonight, Jay, it's almost 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the men and women out there. Keep your chins up. The people that are down, you're down, but you're not out. Give a shout out to my BBC again, my brother John Mondu, Aaron and Ian Roberts, the Roberts boys out there, Mr. Roberts, the whole Roberts clan. Love you. Keep your chin up. It's good to be involved, as I have been since birth, with real men and a real family. So love you guys out there. My brother Kevin Moran, Pete, the real deal, McNeil, Neely Petrie, we love you, sister. MJ, Ruby Strickland, all the people, Amanda Marie, the people behind the scenes. We love you. And as Jay said, this openings, we're forever growing faster than we ever anticipated. So go ahead and get your name and information on there, and we'll start betting you right away. Again, everybody out there, keep your chins up. Give a shout out to Brittany out there at Spectrum Cable. I was going to give her a link, Brittany. There you go, Spectrum Cable and Mark out there. I give shout outs to people that have businesses all the time. Good people helping out. To my little asbestos, Mason, I love you. To Carter, I love you too out there, pal. Daddy loves you very, very much. And to my beautiful wife, Allison, thank you for all you do, baby. If it weren't for you and if it were, we've talked about it all the time. She literally helped save my life, and I think I helped with hers too. So everybody out there, keep your chins up. It's not over yet. What are you doing with laying down? Like I said to my brother Aaron a long time ago when he was a little down, and people out there, not just him, people all over, what are you doing thinking you're not worth it? Get the hell up. Brush the dust off, Jay, and go get what you rightfully deserve.
Yeah, and
I deserve, I guess, that whip, Jay.
Yeah, he gets that whip all the time.
If I could say again, September 26th, American Street Wheelchair Parenting in New Hampshire. And again, as I said to you off the air, Jay, it was fun kind of going old school and playing some pond hockey with you again. It's been a while since we've been together on the air, and this was a lot of fun, Jay. I love you.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun and great guests. Definitely thank you to Carlos and Ed out there doing amazing stuff. And we will support anybody out there who's doing the right thing and getting involved in something constructive and staying away from the drama, and those kind of go hand in hand for us. So we want to definitely thank our FFN fam behind the scenes. Definitely Ruby Strickland, Amanda Marie, MJ out there, Neely, and definitely Pete the Real Deal McNeil. Definitely. And I want to definitely thank all of those who are in our board of directors who work so hard. We're going to be calling on you soon in different areas. So be ready. We're about ready for this rocket ship to take off. So be ready. So with that being said, like we said, every single broadcast, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless.
Yeah.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town.